Hello and thank you for watching this video. As those of you who came to our Indiana User Conference this year in 2018, you know that we did a presentation about using the map as a first responder. We had a special presenter named Shane Heater. He works part-time for WTH, but he's also a captain in the Goshen, Indiana Fire Department. And he's done a lot of nice innovative things with the map to make it more useful to first responders. Some of you had requested that we get a video put together of this presentation and also show some of the techniques that he used in order to create these layers. So that's what this is about today. So to begin with, we're looking at a map of Goshen, Indiana, or excuse me, the county of Elkhart, Indiana, but we're going to focus on some of the layers that were made for the town of Goshen. If I go up to my index here and come down, you can see that we've got the Goshen Fire Department has several layers out here that Shane himself has put together. But the one we're mainly concerned with to start is this pre-plans layer. The idea being that having a pre-plan is great, but not having easy access to it can complicate things when you're responding to an emergency. So by having everything on the map, what Shane has done is allowed for the first responders in the vehicles to be able to pull up information about that building while en route. So if I were to go to one of these buildings, and just double click on it here in the index, it's going to highlight it for me on the map right here. We're at Boomer's Goshen Healthcare Foundation. And over here on the left, we can see some details about it. Now these have been broken out into tabs. And as I go down along here in the general section, we've just got some general information about that building. Excuse me, I think I call it a healthcare foundation. This is actually a church in Goshen. It's called the Church in Goshen. I can collapse these or open them to go down and see more information about this. So information like contacts, who's a key holder, and so on. Any hazardous materials notes, fire suppression information. This church really doesn't have a lot going on in it, but it gives you the general idea of what it is we're looking at here. Now one thing you're going to notice, I'm going to zoom in here very close on this, and you can see on this church, I've got the address, 1922 West Lincoln Avenue, but that pre-plans layer is set up, let me clear the screen here, with a little circle surrounding that address. What this allows the user to do is go up into my setup here and map settings. Down here in the auto area search results, you can see that we've got a Goshen pre-plans setup. So what this is telling the map to do, every time an address is looked up, if there is a Goshen pre-plan, let me go ahead and cancel out of this, put as an area, in this case a circle area, around that address, it's going to display some information about that pre-plan over here on the left. So if I were to look up an address in Goshen, College Avenue here, I see that it is Courtyard Healthcare. And over on the left, because I have those auto area search results set up for the pre-plans layer, I'm going to see listed here some details about that pre-plan. Now, if I want more details, I can just click on the pre-plans layer here and it will pull it up for me in this main form. And I can see all of the details. And again, this is tabbed out for me here. So I can see if there are special hazards that I need to know about as I'm on route to this facility. Maybe there's a fire or some other incident going on that will require an evacuation. This information is going to be very helpful to me. If they have hazardous materials, in this case they do not, that would be listed here as well. Anything I need to know about the building itself can also be listed in here. And total occupancy can be set up in here as well. So lots of information is going to be available to me. I can also click on this floor plans link and see that I have the option to open up a floor plan. And by clicking there, it's going to bring it up for me in a PDF. I can then in the PDF kind of zoom in here and take a little bit of a closer look. There we go. And let me get my little hand here. There we go. I can drag this around and kind of see the full layout. And what's even better with these floor plans, it's been marked. And if you're a firefighter, knowing where the electrical utilities and the gas utilities and the water utilities all connect in is going to be very helpful, because a lot of times those need to be shut down in the case of an emergency. I can also see all the entrances and exits on here, making it easier if there is an evacuation to know where people might be evacuating from. Anything like alarm panels, that information is going to be on here as well. Basically, whatever information I want to have available on that floor plan, I can, and then I'm pulling it up with the click of a button. Now, of course, the question is, how do you build something like this? Well, thankfully, Shane has done a lot of the work for you already because he's created this layer and put all of this information in and built out those tabs. So the easiest way, if you'd like to use the exact template that he set up, is make sure you synchronize first and foremost. You'll want to have the latest version of ThinkGIS. Right now we're at 4.36.180502, and you can find that up here at the very top of your map in the upper left-hand corner. But also when you synchronize, you're going to download a new template. So if I'm an editor, after I've synchronized, if I hit Add Layer, and I'm going to keep it on Create New and say OK, then over here on the left-hand side, rather than a basic layer, I'm going to go down through these templates, and I'm looking for this Building Pre-Plans layer. If I select that and say OK, it's going to let me name it something new if I like. I can just leave it at pre-plans if I like. It's going to put it out in my ThinkGIS, whatever county you're in or municipality folder. It's going to drop it in there as a TML file. You just say OK again. And like any other layer, as soon as you create it, it appears at the bottom of your layer list here in layer settings. So I now have this pre-plans layer template brought in as a new layer. What this allows me to do, I'll just zoom in down here and we'll just pick a random address. And let's see, this Veterans of Foreign Wars is going to be where I want to put a pre-plan in. I'm going to show my map editing tools. I'm going to make my current layer that pre-plans layer. Of course, there's nothing in it yet, so I can't add anything yet. But when I'm ready to, I can do new feature, and then I can start filling out information in this. Now I'm just going to kind of fill this in as quickly as I can. We'll just say it's a VFW, and its address is 1201, and I'm not even sure what street we're on, but we'll just kind of wing it. Elkhart Road. And so on. It's generally just filling out the information as you go along here. You do not have to fill out everything right at the start. Of course, we can revisit this and modify as needed down the line. So I'm just going to stop at this point. I'm going to say OK. So now I have this current feature set up as this VFW that I want to put in here. Now, I can simply place a symbol by clicking the symbol button and clicking out here anywhere. And now I'll have a symbol that I can click on to pull up that pre-plan. However, I'm going to undo that right now and clear my screen because like Shane has set up on his, I want to set up a way to have it pull up when I do an address lookup. In this case, when I look up 1201 West Goshen, West Pike Street in Goshen, I was way off on that address when I was filling this out. When I put that address in, I want it to display over here on the side pre-plans information, right? So rather than placing a symbol, I want to put a very small circle around this, and I want that circle to be an area. That's where this draw radius tool can come in really handy. Now, in Shane's case, he's put it out there on this exact layer. Let's get back here. This pre-plans layer, he's put out there as that circle. That's exactly what you're going to want to do as well. Your feature is also going to be what it's looked up by. So I'm going to click on this little draw radius tool. And now, just as anything else in the map tool-wise, down here at the bottom it tells you what to do next. So I'm going to pick the center of that circle, so I'm going to click right on top of that address. Now you can see I've got that little box around it. I want to see that box that tells me I'm snapped to that address point. I left click, and then it pops up with this. Generally, when you're doing something like this, I usually do about a 20-foot circle. I want to draw it as an area. I do not want to draw it as a polyline. If I do that, it will not be able to be used in that auto area lookup. So I'm going to draw it as an area. So I say OK, and there's my circle. If I click near the edge, there's my pre-plan information. I can keep placing those wherever I need on any address that I like. Then I'm going to do a file save. I'm going to come up to my setup and my map settings. And I'll come down here to the auto area search one, and far over here on the right, the setup. I click on that, and I'm going to add a new lookup. In this case, I'm going to add an area search. So I click on that, and the layer I want to use for my area search is going to be my pre-plans. And I want it to display which fields. So I'm going to unselect. I don't need all of the information because that's quite a bit of information out there. But maybe I want to put out critical information. So I could say I want to know the business name, the address I've already got because I'm looking that up. But maybe I want to know if there's Knoxbox keys, who the contact is, and what their phone number is. I'll go ahead and put the home phone on here as well. I say I want to give these some color so they highlight differently. I can highlight each one, change field color. I'll do the business name in green, and then I can come down this way. And again, this just comes down to what's going to work best for you visually. I can highlight the Knoxbox keys in red, the contact name in orange, and again, you can just kind of do this, what works best for you. So I'm just picking some random colors here just to keep this moving along. And finally my key holder color, and okay, and okay, and okay, okay. So now I've got that done. So again, now I'm going to look up this 1201 West Pike Street in Goshen. So I come up here, 1201 West Pike, and you can see it drills down for me in my search suggestions. I highlight that. Now over here on the left, I can see my pre-plans layer, listed over here. Now you'll see that I highlighted a bunch of things in there that I wanted to display. However, when you use that auto area search results, it will only display those fields that have values in them. So I didn't fill out anything for a contact name or contact phone number, so it won't display right now. But it does put that information out there. Now the floor plans you can see set up, when I click on it, it's going to come over here and look for something in that floor plans layer, but it's not going to find it because I don't have a floor plan set up for this yet. So how do we set up those links to get those to work with this pre-plan? So for this, I'm going to go back to the pre-plans layer that was initially made here. So I'm going to go back up on Goshen here in the pre-plans that we were looking at before. I'll just click on any one of them. So when I click on it, it brings up this select a file to run. And now I can just highlight the one I want to see. If there are multiple, for like a multi-tiered building, if you've got several floors and you want to cover more than just one, you can do that here. I select that, and of course it will open it up for me. The way I set this up is up to me, but generally the best way, if I come over here to my floor plans folder, and as you can see, this is located over here in the C, Think GIS, Elkhart floor plans in this case. Each one of these has been named as an address, and that's what we're going to use to locate it with this floor plans link. So how do we do that? So right over here I can see the address is set up as 1917 North Eisenhower. I'm going to kind of move my info window over here a little bit, make sure I've got the full thing. 1917 North Eisenhower. If I come back to that folder and look in here, start typing it in, there's my 1917 North Eisenhower floor plan, right? This is set up, I'm going to go to my layer settings here. This is set up in a global link section. Now I'm going to come up here and there's my pre-plans. The global links themselves are going to be applied to the TGM file, that is your map file. So if you have multiple computers that need to have this, you may need to give us a call for some advice on how best to get this on each one. We can help you out with that, of course, as we can help you with any of this setup. But the way this one has been set up, if I click on that link here, again on that global link column on my Goshen pre-plans, over here on the right, it brings up this global links window. And this first one has information in it, floor plans. If I click on this little box with the three dots, it's going to pull up for me here, and I can see exactly how this was set up. So it's called floor plans in the link name, so that's how it's going to display whenever I look up anything that pulls up a pre-plan. And then what it does is uses the pick run command. This is a little different than the regular run command. The run command would automatically open a file, but the pick run is what you use to pull up that option of files to open. So if you have the possibility of multiple files for a single feature, the pick run option is great. What it does is references then a directory. Now in this case, we're using what we call a variable. And this is the %map_dir%. Now you can see it's a capital M and a capital D, and that is important. You'll have to have it that way. What it means when I use that map directory variable is it's automatically going to default to wherever my map is running from. And that's determined up here at the very top. I can see my map, my TGM file, is running from my C ThinkGIS LCART folder. I hope you guys can see that up here where my mouse is. And I'm opening the lcart.tgm file when I open from that directory. So I'm telling this link to look in my C ThinkGIS LCART folder, to look for a floor_plans folder, and then in between these carets I've got address. What I'm telling it to do here is look in the address field on this specific feature that I've got opened over here on the left, look at this address, and then find a PDF file with that same address name. So let me go back here and pull it up. So I'm saying look in the C ThinkGIS LCART folder for a floor plans folder and look for 1917 North Eisenhower.pdf and open that up for me. By setting this up as a global link, it will now be on every single feature in my pre-plans layer. I don't have to set this up individually each time I create a new feature. It's always going to be there, and it's always going to reference this field. So whatever address I put in here needs to match exactly the address that I use to name that PDF file in order for this link to work. The template that you guys have gotten, which is this one down here that I added here from the template, has this already built into it. So it's already built to look for your map directory, a floor_plans option, and then use this address.pdf. So it's going to pull again from that address field when you set these up. As you're working on these, of course, if you have questions about how to set these up, if you'd like to repoint it to a different directory or something like that, of course, give us a call and we would be happy to help you out with that. The phone number for us will appear at the end of this video as well, but of course you can reach us at 888-225-5984. One of the other things we had a lot of questions about were these customized buttons here at the top of the map. Now, normally button setups are through your setup, workstation settings, and over here on the menu tab. Now you can see I've got all of our regular buttons up here, and the only custom button that I'm showing is for our little helicopter button. That's your finding the lat long on the map. But none of these buttons are showing up down here. The reason for that is that these have been set up as part of the layer. So these will travel with the layer. So when someone downloads these, they'll automatically have the button appear up here on their buttons bar. That setup happens. I'm going to come up here to Greencroft, right over here. So in this case, the door numbers. Again, I need to be an editor to set this up, but when I right click on the layer name, over here on the right, I get some more options. Layer format is where we determine how the layer itself looks. We also have advanced layer settings. This is the one that we're interested in when it comes to setting up a button that travels with the layer. So when I click on that, up here at the very top under the general tab, this is basically all the basic things about that layer are going to appear under this general tab. Here we've got it set up for a button. Now the syntax for this is going to vary depending on the type of thing you want to show and how you want the button to appear up there, and of course the information that it's going to do for you. But this one is set up to first be a button, of course, and it is going to use the C ThinkGIS LCART floor_plans / Greencroft logo.bmp. So that's what this looks like, this green G with the word doors across it. That's set up right here. Then I tell it to use the search form for the Greencroft door numbers layer, and I want it to locate from that on the Greencroft door numbers. Now that seems cryptic and kind of weird. Plus, there's a lot of opportunity in here to have typos and have to go back and do a lot of rework to get this to work. Again, I encourage you to call us if this is something that you want to set up on a layer and get some assistance from us on getting this set up for yourself. The nice thing about having this set up as part of the layer is that, again, it's going to travel with it. If I were to set it up on this workstation settings, then I need to go put that on every single machine individually as well. By putting it on the layer, it's going to travel with it, and that way when I add it, they're always going to have the option of coming up here and clicking the button and being able to look up some specific information. So I can start with just looking for the specific building at Greencroft. I do Manor 2, I search. Here are some of my options. Now, there's a lot of different door numbers in Manor 2, but I select the one I want, double click on it, and it jumps me to it. What is the advantage of having door numbers searchable on the map for a first responder? Well, let's just take a look at this building. I'm going to clear here for a second. Now, as you can see, the building itself has an address, but it's also got addressed each room number within this structure. If I am a firefighter or an EMS driver or a responder, an EMT, excuse me, a policeman or policewoman who is responding to an incident here, knowing which door is closest to which room is going to be very, very beneficial to me, especially in a building like this. If I need to come down to this room, coming in at door 3 is going to be very inconvenient for me. But I can see door 26 is right here next to that room that I need to get to. So knowing those rooms and their location in the vicinity to the nearest door is going to be very, very useful to me as a first responder. It's also going to allow dispatch to be able to tell first responders where to go and be most efficient. I can also then, as a dispatcher, go in and select a room from this rooms lookup. Doesn't matter which one I select here. They call in, say it's room 105 in whatever manner. I can do the search just off the room number, but I could also pull up that manor name in there as well. But I'll go ahead and go off the room number right here, locate it. It's going to highlight it on the map for me. And then over here on the left, it's also showing me the nearest door to that. If I zoom in down here again, I can see immediately door 26 is going to be the one that's going to get me closest to this room. So when I'm responding to an emergency, boom, boom, I am there quickly. Now, how does it pull that information? In the room numbers here, I've got it locked for editing as well. If I right click and go to layer format, I've got my room, and that's set up as a text field. The name is also set up as a text field, and that's going to be the building that I'm in. But the nearest door is set up as a nearest feature field. So if I pull that down, I can see nearest features, what it's set as, and my field type. And then the layer that it's using is the Greencroft doors layer. Let me, you can kind of see here. So the Greencroft door numbers layer. Oops, I lost it there. I like to make mistakes like that so that you guys can see that we all screw this up too. So I'm going to now go in and turn on my room numbers. I'll just turn those on at auto here. It's going to get a little cluttered, but I want to make sure that you can kind of see what I'm looking at here. So when I click on any of these room numbers, it automatically tells me the nearest door. I'm not having to do any calculations. I'm really not having to look anywhere else on the map. I just click, and it's going to show me the nearest door to that room. This is such a speedy way to get information. It's going to help in dispatch, and it's going to help those first responders to get there as soon as they can to help out with this. We hope you found this training session beneficial and to your liking. If you have further questions, please contact us at 888-225-5984 or email us at support@wthgis.com.